What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another Pixel stream. My name is Ian. How you guys doing? And I am a ZBrush trainer over here at Maxon, where everything is fun. We make learning, sculpting, and all that good stuff fun. What's up, ACube? What's up, Rerdum? What's up, Chris? What's up, Leonard 3D Artist? How you guys doing? Ronald, hello. Awesome. So let's get into it. I have something weird that I want to sculpt today. I literally walked past the car and saw this amazing little thing. Let me get my music going. Hold on. Can't think of that music. It's like too quiet. Anyway, so I walked past this and I was like, oh yeah, all right, we gotta sculpt this. This is gonna be awesome. It's Halloween. It's going on Halloween. It's Halloween for me already. I don't care what month it is. It's already Halloween, so we're gonna go ahead and do it. Should be fun. Hopefully my voice is back. I had the flu like week ago and it just took me out, so if my voice isn't 100% back, I apologize for that. And if I seem winded at any point in time, that's why, so I apologize. Right, yeah, isn't this cool? Like, this is gonna be super cool. So I have some reference over here of like just some zombie hands, just to get a little bit of a sense, but I have my own hand. This is the reference. This is all you need right here. That's it. And we'll make my hand look super gross like this. So we're just gonna squeeze this over in the corner. And I can't decide if I want to start from a base mesh or not. I think I just want to start from a base mesh because I just want to get into posing and sculpting, because there's already so many things I want to do. So when you feel like that, just plop in a base mesh. I think that's fine. I think it's fine. I'm convincing myself it's fine. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to let's grab this male base mesh, and we're still gonna have to really work on this base mesh. So let's just get into it. Whee! So we're gonna go ahead and delete all of the beautiful lower res, and then I'm just gonna straight up take this guy right here. This will be my hand. About go like that. Let's turn off perspective. And then let's just delete hidden and then turn off symmetry. And what hand do I want? Wait, where's my model? There it is. Let's go back up here so we all know what we're making. I wish I knew where this sticker came from. I'm gonna have to Google reverse image searches because I have no idea where this came from. It was on the back of a car. And I think that's all I'm like, you know what? I gotta sculpt it. All right, let's go in here and let's send this home. And then let's get to posing this hand, because everything is going to be based off of that. I use the IM and body part brush on stream, so someone's business shop. Perfect. What's up, Chloe? Hey, it's never fun. It's always fun. All right, let's get in. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn on double for a second, because I do want to make sure that my topology is clean enough. And then we're just going to go ahead and close holes this. Now, I could close holes this like this, which is fine. It's not the best in the world. If you want to close holes another way, you can go to Z Modeler, which I already did, BZM, boop, boop, boop. Hover over an edge, and then I'm going to go to close with convex hole. And actually, that will close it with a little bit more. Whereas just doing concave, it kind of gives you this little nastiness. So let's go convex hole to give me some cleaner topology, which was workable. And now we're going to go ahead and start posing this hand. So first things first, let's go ahead and save this. Boop. And let's go ahead and just call this, it's like a mummy hand. Like a mummy mouth hand. I don't even know. Yes, what's up, Steamworks? How you doing? Emily, how's it going? Excited to stop by my first stream? Awesome, excited to have you here. As everybody knows, or if you, maybe, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know why I said it that way. Just so everyone knows, I like to answer questions for ZBrush. I work at Maxon, so I take ZBrush questions as well. So if you have any questions about ZBrush in particular, or anything I'm doing, feel free to ask those questions. That's what I'm here for. Help make everybody's life hopefully just slightly easier. All right, so we're going to go ahead and push this here. I'm actually doing a creature with those features on its hand, but mine Has the teeth sharp where the lashes are, with the dragon eyeball where inside of the mouth is now. Nice. Ooh, that is super cool. That is super, super cool. Yeah, this is going to be unique. I did, over the weekend, I did a Cult of the Lamb sculpt, which was interesting because there was an eyeball within the crown, and I thought that was really neat. Okay, let's go ahead and start posing. So I also kind of want to inflate these fingers a little bit because they're a little too small or skinny. I wouldn't say small. First, let's move this down here where I can see my tools. And we're going to use the mask lasso, and I'm going to go ahead and just mask off all this goodness right here. So I just want this to be just a little bit more thicker. I'm going to invert this, and then I'm going to center the gizmo to the world space of the selected item, hold control, and now I'm going to hold control and scale. And this will actually inflate the entire area. It's the same difference too if you were to go to deformation and do a inflate. It's the same difference, but I find that there's just a little bit more control with holding control here. So, and then the cardinal rule of never smoothing down. I'm going to go ahead and just do like a light relax smooth here. And then let's take the move brush and kind of position these just a little bit more before we get into posing. I always love the Santa Cruz hand. Oh, is that what it is? Oh, that's cool. I had no idea. Thank you for telling me. Oh my gosh. Okay, great. Now I can credit it correctly. So thank you. This sticker looks really cool. Can't wait to see how the model turns out. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and start posing this bad boy. So the first things first, I like to always, if I'm posing a full character, I pose with the hips first. I always lead with the hips. So I'm going to do that with the palm as well. So I want the palm kind of forward. But I'm going to be arching it back. So we're going to start here like such. And then I'm going to mask this section off. Come in here and start pulling this back. Yeah, it's a variant of the original, but that's what it's based on. Awesome. Thank you so much. I tried looking up, like, hand with mouth, and I got so many... My Google searches were very bizarre after that, so thank you. That's awesome. Okay. And this looks a little puffy to me, so we're gonna tone that down just a bit. All right, and now let's go ahead and start masking off this section. Because this is super low topology, I don't really feel the need to just yet like do any type of softening of the mask. I just kind of want to get things in its position. You can always just kind of smooth it back later. Okay. You know what? Maybe we will soften. I already went against my own advice. How's everybody's Wednesday happening? Hopefully it's good. Anybody else here prepping for Halloween? What tablet do I use for work? I actually switch back and forth. So I'm actually in my home office right now, and I have a 24-inch Wacom Cintiq HD. It's the 2K version of it. But at my office, I actually have right now just a Intuos large tablet. I had a Cintiq there for a little bit, but then I like rearranged my desk and then I took it off, and I found that for that setup that was a little bit more comfortable. So I switched back and forth between the two. Although I am considering looking for another Cintiq or something, because I'm I'm just a big guy. I'm like 6'4", 6'3", 6'4" ish. My wingspan is large, so having a nice big tablet is actually more comfortable for me. I used to have bad posture, so I had to change that. But now it's a lot more comfortable. Yes, excited for candy, absolutely. RC20, how you doing? Welcome in, welcome in. Okay. Now, I could pose every single finger, or I could do myself a favor, and I'm actually going to go ahead and take this finger. I'm going to create a different poly group. Okay. Let's see what you're doing here. Let's take the select lasso, and I'm actually going to isolate this section right here. And I'm going to give this a different poly group. Grab that guy right there. So now it's a different poly group. I'm going to go ahead and Control-Shift-D, duplicate my current subtool. Hit solo mode for a second. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete the rest of this hand. I'm going to pose this one finger, and then I'm going to size scale it to the other ones. They're all posed very similar to each other. So instead of posing each and every finger, we're going to work smarter, not harder. And we're just going to pose the one finger, and then we're going to adjust that to each finger, and then we'll weld it back. So, good afternoon. Hoping you'll have a blessed day. Yeah, absolutely, UAB. Thank you for hopping in. Yeah, I am in beginners in this field. Please give me some tips about sculpting like big monsters. Sculpting anything, absolutely. The thing you want to focus on the most is blocking out. Here I'm starting from a base mesh, which is fine, especially when you get better at anatomy. Blocking out from scratch each and every time after a while can just it can be a little tedious, especially if you already know certain aspects about anatomy. So I would say study anatomy, really get focused on learning that, and sculpt from scratch in the beginning phases and practice blocking out and matching proportions and volumes. From there, you want to try to get the block out to look close to what you're trying to actually sculpt. So if you're trying to, for example, sculpt a Pokemon, you know, look at reference and try to match that in the block out as much as possible. Start with spheres. So for example, here, I'm going to go ahead and just grab a sphere just for this demonstration here. And let's say we wanted to do a snowman. Actually, let's go even simpler than that. You know, when we're starting with a snowman base, like, we're going to start with the spheres that we first need. So that's the first tip. Look at your reference and then say, oh, what is the basic primary shapes? Work with that. If we're going to do like a snowman example, let's go ahead and just duplicate this by holding Control and dragging that gizmo. Bring this down. Maybe squish this one up a little bit. Control drag. Get this one here. Now, this is a very simple character, but this will give you a sense of things. And then from here, right, we're just going to want to start getting maybe the arms and stuff out. So we'll bring in some cylinders because your arms are cylindrical. And let's just turn on this. And I'm going to go ahead and just size this down by using the gizmo. And then stretch it out. And then start placing things in its spot, right? And this is the important phase. And then let's say we want the elbow, we want to define the elbow and the forearm in a separate place. So this is where you can just Control, drag, and copy. And maybe rotate this around. Place this in our scene and get just the position of the elbow. And we're not worried about details. Number one thing when you're blocking anything out is do not worry about details. Then maybe from here we can mirror and weld. So if we go to geometry, and we'll go to modify topology, mirror and weld on the x-axis. You can already see here, we're starting to see a snowman very, very quickly. And this is just the important phase of starting with blockouts. We'll go cylinder. For his hat, we'll do a little top hat. So I'll just bring this up. I'll scale this down. Right? And then I'll duplicate it by Control dragging. Maybe put this back up, scale it back down. And you just start working here. you know, get the eyes in. Maybe we're going to go ahead and use a different brush. We'll go an IMM brush for the eyes. We'll go BIM. I'm sorry, BIH. No, BIT. I am off today. Yay, grab sphere 32. And maybe we'll go ahead and turn on symmetry and drag out the eyes and put them in place. Again, all about just like kind of getting the block out where you want it. This is no means perfect. Everything starts off looking very basic, but after a while, you'll start getting the shape and stuff in there. So as a quick example, start here. Just start blocking stuff out, get things in, and then from there, you want to move into secondary forms where you start refining and merging things together, and then you'll follow it up with tertiary or final details, and that will actually clean everything up. So doing really good, Keo. How you doing? So hopefully that makes sense for you. It's all about just starting blocking things out, getting things so that they look kind of what it is. Feel free to take your time. A lot of, including myself, so this is speaking from a lot of experience, but a lot of people in the early stages of stuff, they actually start with like trying to rush everything to merge it together and start finalizing details. If you have a bad base, you'll have a bad sculpt. And if you think of it that way, spend a lot of time getting the base and the foundation correct, and from there move it into all your final forms, and your model will look a whole lot better. Don't rush the process. Art's a journey, and it's an exciting one at that. So absolutely. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this. I'm going to go ahead and actually close this finger off because I'm probably just going to Dynamesh weld it, which is a great way to weld things in. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that off. And then I'm going to add in just insert some single edge loops to give me just a little bit of control, so that when I hit D for dynamic and say always yes, and I smooth the finger out, it's not killing the form right away. I have some good supporting edge loop. Now from here, let's start bending the finger. So I'm going to actually start by bending at the knuckle here. Alt tap a point and push this in the middle. When you're posing, it's important to remember that everything bends. Your finger is going to bend from the middle of your finger. It'll give you the best deformation. So I'm going to go ahead and start bending this down. And if you soften it, you're going to get this. So I actually recommend not to soften. I actually recommend to kind of come in here and keep your edges nice and hard. Then what you could do from here, you do like a little bit of a smooth, or you can actually move this here. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add in some deformation lines. So this is actually bending a little bit weird. And that's fine. So I'm going to add in a single edge loop near this line and near this line. And what this will do is actually give me some nice control over how this bends. So I can actually go ahead and bend it from this point. Okay, let's actually go up one edge loop right here. There we go. And that finger, honestly, you'd be surprised how far your finger cannot go, at least not mine. So I actually want to maybe put it something like this. Do a light smooth just to relax these edge loops a bit. I'll fix the form later. When posing, it's pretty much guaranteed you're going to break stuff, and that's okay. So don't worry about that too much. And then let's go ahead and mask this section off here. I'll drag that down. Start with this. We can always refine stuff later. Hey, Zerchan, how you doing? Hey, Ian, forgot to ask you about if you like using ZBrush with perspective on. Also, what type of projects you suggest using with it. So I actually use perspective turned off because its orthographic view is actually a lot better because I'm used to sculpting toys. And so perspective, I'd have to adjust the camera to match something very close to real world, which is almost truly flat. So I'd probably be sculpting at like 150 millimeter focal length, which is just, there's almost no point in that. So orthographic view gives me an actually really good view so that I can see a true visualization of what the 3D print is going to look like. However, when I do anything that has likeness to it, as in like I'm trying to sculpt a person that, you know, I'm trying to capture their features, I will then from there turn on perspective, use 1 or 2 images and try to match the focal length of the camera, because that is going to determine how you're seeing things. If you look at an image that was taken with 50 millimeter focal length, you look at an image with 85 focal length, well, there's a night and day difference between those two. So that's where I would turn perspective on. But for the most part, I actually leave perspective turned off because I make most of my stuff for toys. So there's absolutely no reason for me to have it on. But sometimes it's cool. Sometimes I'll render with perspective turned on. Just because I think it'll make for a good scene. In fact, actually, my Cult of the Lamb, I don't know if you guys saw that. I posted over the weekend. That actually, I think I had 85 focal length for the camera perspective. So I'm a switcher. I definitely changed things up. Oh, right. I scaled the hand up like a noob. And now I need to match the thingy. Okay. Go ahead and move this back here. And let's start positioning this. Okay. Go ahead and start cutting these fingers off here. Okay, let's go ahead and auto group that. That's found under polygroups, auto groups, which is over here on the side. Polygroups and auto groups. I have a quick menu for all that goodness. And then I'm going to take this palm, and again, I'm going to go ahead and split hidden. And let's go ahead and save. I have to make a hand for my orc, so this is going to help me a lot. Sweet. Yeah, I started with a base mesh. Hey, Ian, sir, can you tell me ZBrush Basic because I just started ZBrush? Absolutely, 100%. When you say you just started ZBrush, like you've just opened it for the first time, you don't know how to begin, where are you at? Like 100%, because I can actually demonstrate what it's like to start a new project for you. Love the reference image. This is gonna be so cool. Was the Cult of the Lamb wool noise of brushed? Oh, was it? No, I just used inflate, and it's so basic. It's actually really, really basic. Here, let me save it real quick. I'll show you the project. It was a lot of fun. No, I don't want to save that. Cult of the Lamb. I kept it really simple. It was just a project that was literally like, I just wanted to do it fast. I saw the character, started the game, and I'm like, I gotta sculpt him. He's so adorable. In fact, actually, here, the Book of Shadows. So I actually have perspective turned on, and I have it turned on with 85 focal length. Yeah. So this is this guy right here. This is what he looks like. Here's this little base. And literally, if we just look at his wool for a second, all I did was just use the inflate. And then I just like inflated random spots like that. That's it. I was lazy. I just started, but so far it's really, really cool. What's up, Polly? So this was the guy. And here's that little like, here's the little crown with his with the eyeball in it, which I thought was cool. All right. So here, real quick, just for Mozam, hopefully I said that right. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to start ZBrush 100% from scratch, like the first time you've ever opened it up. So I'm actually going to go ahead And let's pretend for 5 minutes. Just going to switch this out. I'm going to close this here. Don't worry about this. This is pure ref. This is a completely different thing. In fact, just for this, I'm going to go ahead and move it off screen. So you'll see something like this if you first start ZBrush. And there's two ways that you can actually start sculpting. I'm going to show you the fastest way to start sculpting in ZBrush, and that is when, in fact, this is actually what you're going to see when you first open ZBrush. This splash screen, this home page, I think a lot of people turn this off, but this actually updates you with the latest stuff that's happening with us over at Maxon. So if you missed one of our streams, this will pop up and kind of inform me about what's going on. So you can either close it or go up here to the cogwheel and say show if news updated. So if this never updates, then you'll never be notified. So if you do turn that off and it's on, now you know why. So go ahead and hit the X to close that down, and now you're here. Now the fastest way you can start sculpting is this default project right here. Double tap this and just say no, because it's asking if you want to save your project. And now you can just start sculpting immediately. You are here within ZBrush. You have your first primitive shape, and you could just sculpt on it. So to crash course, over here on the top left-hand side is where all your brushes are. So you can come in here and just start grabbing brushes and seeing what each and every single one would do. If you see anything that has, like if you see a brush that has this active message, just read it. This is indicating that you actually have a masking brush that you selected, and you're going to want to press the control key in order to use it. So if I press control, I now can use that brush and create some different shapes. So that's what that is saying. Control Z backs it up, of course. If I press and hold shift, that's going to give me the smooth brush by default. And that's going to allow you to basically come in here and start smoothing stuff down and just, you know, kind of clean it up. It's very destructive typically with a smooth brush, so just be careful with it. And then from here, I'd say learn some hotkey shortcuts like B for brush, C for clay, and then B for brush. That's clay buildup. And then here, you can actually start building up some shapes. There's also a move brush, BMV for move, and that'll start letting you pull shapes. So this is the fastest way to activate or to navigate the space. If you're using a pen or you're using a mouse, it won't really, the navigation won't change too much, but you'll want to get into using a pen. But for, let's say you're just using a mouse. If I left click the empty space, it's going to allow me to rotate around my model. If I am rotating around my model and I hold shift, that's going to snap every 45 degrees. And then if I left click the empty space and then press and hold alt, press and hold alt and then left click, that's going to allow you to pan the space. And while I am holding alt and holding the left key, the left mouse button, if I just let go of the alt key while still holding the left mouse button, it'll let me zoom in and out. So to cover that again, left mouse click rotates, pressing alt then left mouse click will pan, and letting go of alt while still holding the left mouse button or click will zoom in and out. You also have these features over here where you can move, zoom, and rotate. This screen is actually default, it's just the colors are slightly different. And then you'll have your subtools over here where you can actually insert new subtools and move stuff around. By with the gizmo, hit W, that will give you a gizmo. You can move stuff in space, and then hitting Q will close that. So that's a pretty good way to start sculpting. So I just want to start there. Don't want to overload you too much. My tip for you is that when you're starting with ZBrush brand new, just get in here, double click this default project and start sculpting and get a feel for the program. If you would like to start completely from scratch, basically like you want to load in your own custom shapes, then what you can do when you start ZBrush and you have something like this, you just come over to the simple brush, click this one time, grab a shape, hit the comma key to close down this menu, drag out a shape, come up here to edit or press T on the keyboard, and then come over to make polymesh 3D, and now you can start sculpting. So there's two ways that you can start sculpting. And I just recommend play with it, get used to it. And then, of course, too, we have a bunch of stuff over at Z Classroom that will completely 100% get you going. Let me actually get you a link to that. There's a lot of beginner stuff over there, and it's probably the best resource besides this stream and other streams as well. If A-Cube is still in here, she's a regular streamer here on as well every Wednesday. What is it? 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I think. Let me know if that's right, if you're still here. But you can come in here and you can actually start. Oop, there's the Z Classroom. So that can get you started. So let's go back to the hand. Back to the hand, because the face is not listening. There we go. Oh my gosh. Now I looked at this hand and I'm like hating it. Now I'm hating it. Okay. I'm gonna pause this hand for a second. I'm gonna hold this for a second. I want to see something. Okay. Anybody else do that where you walk away for just 2 seconds and you're like, I hate it now. Now I don't like it at all. Okay, let's scale this down a little bit. Pose this finger. Okay, we're still in the blackout phase of mine. We're just kind of getting some extreme posing going on here. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. I don't know if you guys can actually see my hand. Go full screen for a second. I'm using my hand as reference. I'm trying to get like this kind of shape happening right here. That's what we're going for. Okay. You know what? We're going to have to break it just a little bit more. Give it a little bit more of an exaggerative feel. Because, personally, it's going to look too weird. So, let's grab this guy right here. I'm actually going to arch this back a little bit. There we go. Down just a little bit more. Now, I think the thing that's actually throwing me off with this is that this middle bone right here is actually too long for what is happening. And then a little trick here, if I press W for the gizmo and then Y, this will bring up the transpose tool. I'm actually going to go ahead and hold control and start dragging. That's going to mask off more of these shapes. And the reason why I want to do that is I actually want to then rotate this closer. I'm going to invert that by control tapping. Come in here and actually push this in just a little bit. Okay, great. Yes, it's looking ugly, and I love it. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and let's control drag face up. This finger will be just slightly larger, so I'm going to scale that up just a little bit. And we're kind of going with a zombie-ish look to this hand. It's okay if we're going to break the anatomy just slightly. It gives us a cooler effect at the end of the day. That's all I'm really going for. Okay. And let's go ahead and control drag this one more time. Now we scale this back down. And then this actually will be lifted up just a little bit more. adjust the overall finger posing as well, but will give us a good starting spot. And then one more time, scale this down for the pinky. Actually, we'll rotate that forward a little bit. Gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. You absolutely know it. Now, the thing, too, with hands, especially for those who are new to anatomy, your fingers, or your knuckles, I should say, they're never straight across. There is an arc to them. I actually call the arc out from the index finger all the way down to the pinky. It kind of, even if you have it all flattened out, there's a little bit of an arc to it. And when your hand is open, it's actually trying to grasp around a ball. Just think of it that way. So your thumb and your pinky can actually touch, and that's important. So when you have your hands spread apart, you actually want to point your pinky towards your thumb a little bit. Now, of course, if your hand is wide open, there's going to be a little bit of, you know, leeway, but for the most part, that's a good directional spot. So just kind of have that pointed in that direction. And that'll get you most of the way there. Then you can refine the shapes the rest of the way. I just broke it. I just broke them the rest of the way. Hey, what's up, B? Hello, hello. You are absolutely welcome. Super happy to help out. What I'm here for. All right. So this is looking pretty nasty. Hopefully this is giving you a good idea. Let's go ahead and move on with posing the thumb knuckle, which will bring this to life a little bit more. Here's the other thing too. These fingers are not completely in the right spot right now, but this is something also to remember, which is don't fixate on one aspect of the model not being in the right position, because everything, especially with posing and proportion, everything works off of each other together. So if you pose, like if you sculpt a head and then put them on a torso and then have the hips, but you don't put the arms, and you maybe like start the back region, but then you don't put the thighs or the rest of the calf, or et cetera, et cetera. You get my point here. Everything's gonna look slightly funky until everything's in place, and then you can see what truly is off. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you're like here, if you're fixating on like these fingers don't look right, that's okay, that's fine. Just go ahead and focus on getting everything else looking close to what you want it to look like first, and then from there make that final adjustment. Get it all in, and then worry about those little details. Oops, wrong tool. I want to see. So how much am I gonna break this? A lot. I'm gonna break it a lot. Gonna keep rotating that back a little bit, but actually pull this forward a bit. Actually, you know what? We're gonna leave that there. Now I'm gonna tell you guys a little secret about my hands. I have these little toe thumbs. Look at this. So anytime I see a real thumb, as in like a normal size thumb, I can't wrap my head around. I can't wrap my head around that. It truly is a wonder to me. So I have to like look at reference to make sure that it's correct. or else it'll just be wrong. Thumb wrestle champion of the world. Right? Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get it. So yeah, it's a little bizarre, but it just happens to be the way. Just how it is. All right, let's go to close, convex, close these bad boys up. Okay. And now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and dynamesh this. So I'm going to be tearing into this palm here, right? So let's go ahead and save it. I'm going to duplicate this palm off, close this off right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and actually go under geometry, turn off the smoothing function, and divide this a few times. Just to get about, 200,000. That's fine. Not really worried about anything right now. We can smooth this down if we want. We come through and smooth the looks of that. The reason why I turned off the smoothing is that I actually didn't want this to shrink too much. Because anytime you have the smoothing on, it will actually do that. But I am going to want to dynamesh this. It's a choice. I'm going to hold the picker and pick the resolution that it's closest to. Hit dynamesh. And now we can go ahead and get close to this. Although actually what I would like to do is mask this section of the thumb off. Like this. Okay, and I'm going to turn on groups and then dynamesh. There we go. And this way I can keep posing the thumb a little bit easier. In fact, I can actually isolate the thumb and split hidden. And now we can go ahead and save that. Nope, we're not saving there. Where are we saving this? Where did I put it? Oh, it's a project, that's why. Save as. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's get into the hand itself. So, hand is completely gross, and I love it. So we're actually going to go ahead and mask this section off here. Going to create a mask, and then Control W for a different polygroup. Now I'm going to do this. And what we're going to do with this is actually use the pizza box. I'm going to go ahead and holding Control and Shift, select these top ones here. Mask this one off. Now I'm going to open this bad boy up. And actually, I'm going to pretend he has a jaw. Go. Take the move brush. Start getting this mouth hole open. I always get annoyed with the ZBrush saving system. It's all over the place. Okay, so there's two ways to save it. Yeah, so if you hit Control S, that's going to save a project. And then if you hit Save As, that's going to be your ZTL for those who don't know. Just used to using the ZTL method. But lately, actually, I've been saving projects to record my time lapses. So developed the habit of Control S. All right. Now, I do want this 3D printed. At least that's where I'm going with it. So let's create this mouth section. And then we'll create some teeth here in a minute. Okay, let's turn off our groups, and I'm going to weld these together now. And then I'm going to use my clay buildup. I'm going to go to brush. I'm going to go to auto masking and backface mask. And I'm just going to kind of weld these together. Not a problem, absolutely. There we go. All right. Now let's go ahead and I'm going to delete our pretty little snowman that we had started making as a quick demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy. Delete this guy. Perfect. All right, let's get a tongue. See how fast we can make a tongue. I like making tongues. I think tongues are cool. I can make them better than I can spell them. But that's just how the cookie crumbles. Okay, first things first, actually. So notice how, like, I bring in this lovely sphere, and it's giant. And everything else with my scene is not proportionally the way I would like it. So what we can actually do here is we want to uniform our scene just a little bit. I'm going to grab this. I'm actually going to rotate this around just so we can see the front of the hand a little bit better. Now I'm going to go to Transpose Master, and I'm going to go to T-Pose Mesh. Beautiful. Deformation, Unify. Now it's going to make my model just a little bit more usable with the scaling. It's going to unify the scale of the seam. And I'm going to go ahead and say T-Pose back, and it'll bring everything back in. So now when I go ahead and insert, bring in a sphere, notice that the sphere is now not super giant in comparison. It's actually a workable size. And now we're going to go ahead and make a tongue. So we're going to go ahead and do something amazing and typical. We're just going to go ahead and Dynamesh it. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees. Out of pure habit. I'm going to go ahead and squeeze this in like this. Let's solo this just for a second. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit W for the gizmo, hit Y for the transpose. Click and drag, hold shift, and have this the complete length. I'm going to rotate it on size. I'm going to hover over this middle one and get this white little circle. Press and hold Alt. And now I'm going to bend that. Now I'm going to do that here. I'm going to bend that down. Yep. Just like that. Let's turn on X for symmetry. Get something like this going. Now with the clay buildup. Right here in the middle. I'm actually going to go ahead and lift up that kind of webbing effect. Dynamesh that. Make this look nice and beautifully gross. And then we're going to carve right down the middle. Dynamesh it. We're going to do a little bit of a smooth. That's a pretty light smooth. Take the damn standard. And now we have something like this. Now let's hit W. Thunder this back to the middle by turning off symmetry. Put this down. Yeah. This is looking nasty. Nasty. And then I'm actually going to take the move infinite. Just kind of finesse this a little bit. Already working asymmetrically at this point. Clean this up. Maybe with curve. Oh, what's move infinite do? Oh, you're gonna like this. Oh, you're gonna love it. Okay. Let me save it real quick. I save every 5 seconds, I swear. Okay, move infinite. You're gonna like this one. I guarantee it. So I got my sphere here. So with the typical move brush, which is BMV, as you know, even if I'm here, I'm gonna start moving this, right? And I move this, and I'm just gonna look at the top. That just moves that one portion. So whatever you grab, whatever vertices you grab, that's what the move brush. The move infinite brush was just B, M, and then I believe it's N for, yep. The move infinite, wherever you grab your model, it's going to indefinitely see the depth of your entire model forever in that view space, straight behind wherever you grabbed, and it's going to move that. So if I go ahead and grab this section and move, now my whole model moved. So again, with the move brush, it's only grabbing the point of contact. The move infinite brush is grabbing the point of contact and everything behind it, all the way to the end of time. So, and that goes straight through. So if I want to grab this spot right here and grab and move that, grabs all of that behind it. So it's really cool. So if you know you have something that has details on one side and you have to move the front face and then the back face, you might as well just try to use the Move Infinite for that. Absolutely, Jacob. I need something to drink. Hold on. So yeah, very, very cool brush. I'm not sure when that brush actually came to be, but I think I found it like a year and a half ago, and I've loved it ever since. Just be careful with it, because again, like anything else, if you have the Move Infinite brush and you're like, oh, I just need to nudge this little spot, and then it moves everything. So that is the one thing. You just got to remember what it does, and you'll be good. But it's a great, great, great brush. All right, let's go ahead and get some teeth in here. We're just going to go ahead and let's shape this mouth hole to be a little bit more U-shape. Round. How can I use the transpose? How can I better use the transpose? How can I use better transpose tool? Okay, well, not quite sure what you mean specifically, but let me just run over the transpose tool real quick. This is why I love the gizmo over the transpose tool. The gizmo has everything active all at once. I have my scaling, my rotating, and my movements, and my ability to move space. The transpose tool, however, it's based off of what you have selected. So you have your move, your scale, and your rotate. So you actually have to kind of think a little bit like, you know, you have your W, E, R, and then you have your Q to close down. So W opens it up for your move, E for scale, and R for rotate. So if you want to move the transpose, or you want to utilize the transpose better, you just kind of have to think like when you're selecting something, you know, what do you have selected? Are you rotating that? And each one has a different purpose. So like this first, or the furthest one from point of contact, so I drag this out, the furthest one will rotate on an axis that's back and forth. And then this one will kind of go like side to side, right? Yeah. So you want to remember that when you're doing your scales and your rotates and your moves, these 2 points, they do different things altogether. With this transpose kind of warping shape, what this does, the alt actually takes the center of the transpose tool. It almost cancels out the beginning and the end, and it only really activates the middle section. And because I had the move selected, it's only moving really that middle spot. Holding alt on that white circle, it's basically pinning the edges, and at this point it's essentially just allowing me to move that, which gives me this bend. So it's kind of a little bit of a cheat with getting a bend in that area. But if I were to do that same thing with rotate, again, it's only isolating that middle section, and then it's allowing that. So really just get used to what is happening with each section. Like here in the beginning, you notice how like I'm going to hit rotate, and my first point of contact, this is now pivoting from this section here, pinning it on this area. So each portion does something just slightly different. You just kind of want to just know that wherever you're grabbing, that's basically your arcing spot. Your arc. Yeah. Hopefully I said that right. So if that makes sense to you. However, for me, personally, if I hit Y again, I just use the gizmo because it's just a little bit easier to alt move and then rotate exactly where I would want, or alt tap each spot. The transpose is a great tool, don't get me wrong. It's just more of like, I find the gizmo to be a little bit more easier to use for me personally. But the transpose was the first tool that came with ZBrush. The gizmo didn't come until much later, so there are a lot of artists that still utilize the transpose. And it has some really cool features within it. So what's also cool about the transpose as well is that the control drag allows you to mask off certain sections, but also you can do that with a gizmo as well. So it's the same functionality. So it's just really on what you prefer at that point. How did I change the model in the top right corner viewport, please? Oh, you are so welcome. Hey, Star Sweet, you're gonna love it. It's awesome. Okay, I actually do have a video for that as well, which I'm gonna drop first, just so you can always reference it. But I have no problems going over it. Let me actually pull that video up real quick. Let me go to YouTube. In fact, actually, I feel like this video I'm going to share is a personal video, one I made on my own channel, but I should actually make the same video, just more updated for our Ask ZBrush, because we get that question a lot, actually. So I'm going to note that. We're gonna put that video up. I feel like that's important. But let me get the video real quick. Where are we? ZBrush help. You don't need to listen to me twice, do we? Okay, here we go. Cam view. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. And we're going to go ahead and paste that right there. Okay, but essentially what we want to do, if you want to make this your cam view up here, then what you need to do is with whatever model that you have, if it's broken up into pieces, you're going to want to go ahead and say merge visible. And this will create a new subtool with all your subtools merged together. And then from here, what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to make sure that this is truly centered to the viewport based on the model. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the gizmo, and I'm going to alt tap the center location and then send it home, which is already home. Now, the thing to remember is that ZBrush looks at true black, which is hex code 000000, so 6 zeros. As being invisible. It doesn't exist. So we're going to want to go to our document, go here to back, and we're going to want to make sure that we have true black. And we're going to go document, and we're going to make our background true black. This will actually give us a alpha channel height background. Then you're going to want to go ahead and render your scene, however that looks. So get your render looking nice and pretty. I'm going to go ahead and I love this song. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I always have music going on, and it's awesome. I also try not to blast the music, though. It gets distracting. Anyway, so now we have our nice little render. Here it is. From here, all we need to do is go to Preferences. We're going to go to our Cam View, and then we're going to say Make Cam View. And what it's going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to render out each and every one. Now notice that I actually hit Shift R to render, so it's actually rendering out every single scene. And if there is color, it will capture the color as well. Hence why my zombie cap up here in the top right hand side is actually in full color. So we're going to go ahead and let this go through, because I've already started it and it won't take that long. I was wondering if you can go over the V1, V2, V3 buttons at the top of the subtool stack. Absolutely. Right after this, we'll go ahead and jump on there. What I can say before we get to it is just kind of think of it as like sub-menus of accessing your subtools. But I'll explain it a little bit more in depth here in a second. Maybe I shouldn't have rendered, but you get the idea. All right, there we go. Now it's rendered, and notice here I have my hand up here at the top. And there it is. But we're not done yet. There is something else you have to remember, which is, you're going to get a texture. And if we go ahead and look at this texture, we're going to want to save this texture. This is the important part. So we're going to select this texture and go to Export. And then we need to find where we are. Now, real quick, I'm going to pull this off screen so that I don't show anything I'm not supposed to show in the world so bright. I'm going to go to my, if you're on PC, if you're on Mac, I believe you have to go into Applications. You got to open up things within the application. I don't run Mac much anymore, so I apologize. But You got to go to wherever your programs are, and you got to open up. So in PC, that's usually the C drive, and I'm going to go into my program files, and then I'm actually going to go to my Maxon ZBrush. If you have Pixelogic license, that's still okay. Go to your Pixelogic, go open Pixelogic, and then from there, okay, I can show this now. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and go to your Z startup, and you're going to go to Cam View, and you're going to name this whatever you would like. Just call this Hand of Glory. Of Glory. Okay, I don't know if I can spell today. And then what I do is I actually save it as a Photoshop file, because even if you don't have Photoshop, let's say maybe you have Infinity, having a Photoshop file actually is going to allow you to go in and edit it and clean it up a little bit more if you would like, or add some stylization to it. Where a JPEG crunches everything together, and a JPEG also gives you a black background by default. So it's typically nice to just have a Photoshop file. Go ahead and say yes. And then you're going to want to go up to the preferences, and you're going to want to store config. Now, when you restart ZBrush, your thing will be up here, and you'll be able to have your hand and all that good stuff. However, if you wanted to change it, you can just go back to preferences, go to Cam View, and say next. And you can find all the default versions that come with ZBrush. And then eventually you'll find the one that you had. You can adjust the scale if you would like. I think 128 is pretty nice for what it is. And then again, just go up here. When you're done, preferences, store, and store config. And that will save you. And then you could just change your color back, document, click and drag onto a background you're used to having. You are good to go. Carbon 44444. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Thank you, man. It's going, dude. It's going. I get this question every single stream. I do. I love that. I actually love that question, sir. It is funny, but yeah. That's actually why I recorded it. Like, was it like 2 years ago now? But yeah. All right, so subtools. So the V1, V2, V3, blah, 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 blah stuff. Check this out. So you're working on your project, and you come over here and you're like, oh, I want to isolate just this guy. But I'm tired of hitting solo, because I'm going to actually want to bring in another subtool, and I don't want to have to hold shift click all these eyes to open and close this, and then select one at a time. This is where the subtool version list comes in. So if I know that I actually want to work on the hand by itself, like in this case, I'm going to actually want to add teeth, then I actually can keep everything selected on the version 1, but I'm going to go ahead and just hold open my little Shift M for the magnifying glass, and notice how everything's selected. If I click version 2, now notice how only the fingers here, I don't know why the fingers are on. Usually all this would be turned off, except for the one that I have turned on. So I'd have this one turned on. So this one right here. Now, what I can do is I could say, okay, I want to add a subtool. And I want to say, yep, there's my subtool. And we're going to go ahead and just scale this down for demonstration purposes. Come in here, widen the sucker up, hit this here, boom, boom. Okay, now I have this here. This will be where my gums will be, blah, 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 right? Well, when I switch back from the version 2 to the version 1, the version 1 has everything selected. The version 2 only has the other two things selected. So I can switch between these two and choose which ones I want to have selected. So if I need something very specific, like version 8, I only have the fingers selected over here, then this is what I will do. So this is how this setup works. This is just kind of, think of it like I get to select what I want visible for each section. It's really helpful when you're bouncing back and forth between multiple subtools. So you can actually isolate like the head on version 2, the hand version 3, the torsos version 4, etc., etc., etc. So this is a way to kind of just organize stuff. So hopefully that's helpful. And how do we make the ZBrush image with 3D info embedded again? .3D info. Let me. been a while since I've done that. Hold on one second. Love it when I draw a blank. When you say 3D info, you mean like you want to be able to write in like your name and stuff like that. Let me double check. I believe. Hold on. Give me a second. I believe it's in the export option. 1 second. Export options. No, store export settings. Hey, what is happening? Adira, welcome in. Give me 1 second. I'm drawing a blank, so I do apologize for that. Huh. I am drawing a blank. I hate it when that happens. Yeah, great question. You stumped me. Let me go through here real quick. FBX should save some information. To be more specific about what you want to save. No, the ZBrush feature that's a picture that look like snow is falling beneath it. ZBrush feature that's a picture looks like snow is falling beneath it. Iris, can you send me a link to... I am just confused on what you're asking. I'm having a hard time picturing it, so I apologize. I'm actually using the... Where is it? DokiWare. I love the DokiWare glove. It's really, really fun. Yeah, Kairos, go ahead and send me a link to what you're referring to. I apologize. The feature with the snow. Just go ahead and turn this texture off. This is what my confused face looks like. I do apologize. While you pull that info up, I'm going to go ahead and actually continue sculpting and get these gums in here. Yeah, DokiWare is actually really, really great. There's also, I think, artistglove.com, I think, is another really good one. It's an image that holds the 3D model's info. You're saying info or info? Like INFO, like information? So that you have the actual model within that picture. Yeah, I apologize. I'm probably going to feel super sheepish when I look it up after the fact, but I actually have no idea. I'm not afraid to admit that. Do they mean saving a project? No, I think he's looking for a specific feature. I'm trying to think of what feature, unless you're talking about dynamics, where you're talking about like something moving. You're okay, you're looking for something. Yeah, do me a favor. Whatever you're finding, go ahead and throw it either at me here or in the Discord. I would love to know what it is you're actually referring to. So I do apologize that I'm not able to wrap my head around your question. So I do apologize about that, Chris. Is that what it's called? Someone called it the Santa Cruz hand earlier. Yeah. To answer your question, yes, I am. I actually have it over here. Boop. And you know me, I'm just taking 100,000 questions. Right, Aaron? How you doing? All right, let's go ahead and get these gums in here while Kairos looks up his question. We need to get some gums in here, and then we need to get some teeth in there. So I'm actually gonna make one set of gums and then I'm going to duplicate that on over. So we're going to be using the extract method with a thickness. Yeah, that's too thin. It's too thick. Well, you just can't decide, can you? There we go. Perfect. Accept that. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually dynamesh this at a higher resolution. That's way too high. There we go. It's still too high. Now it's too low. I'm going to go something like that. We're going to smooth this down and refine this. Oh, you're referring to the villain. Oh. Thanks, man. I super appreciate it. Yeah, no, honestly, I was out and about and I saw this on the back of a car and I was like, I don't know what that is, but that's cool and I want to sculpt it. So I literally just took a picture of it. And here we are. I was like, all right, this is gonna be fun. So lately I've been like super intrigued with some of the most random stuff that's been out there. And I think that's really cool when it comes to like trying to find inspiration and just trying to break the monotony of like doing the same thing over and over. I think there's a tendency to want to like create the same old over and over again, but I don't know. It's for me that gets old pretty quickly. I accidentally hit control. I hit Go Z to the Cinema 4D, so now I was going to currently try to send everything to Cinema 4D. Hold on, let's see. Let's go this teeth. Hey, thanks, Cinema. We don't need you right now. Ooh, that's a good point, J. Crew. And is there, sorry. Hi, J. Crew, how you doing? Yeah, okay. Is that what you're referring to? Okay, if you're referring to that, then that is actually a really, that's a special ZBrush GIF or PNG file. So if you go to export, and then let's go to desktop here real quick. Sorry, not export. I lied to you. Go to save as, and then open up all your tools, and there's an iMimage 3D and an iMimage PNG. And then when you save, I'm sorry, iMimage 3D GIF and an iMimage 3D PNG. Wow, just can't speak today. One of these two, GIF or PNG, doesn't matter. When you save this, so let's save this right here and say save. Okay, yeah, okay, now I think this is exactly what you're talking about. What this will do is this will save your model as an image, but then you can open this up in ZBrush. This came out with ZBrush Core Mini when it first was released. There you go. Yes. Okay, great. Now I see, yeah, with the snow at the bottom. I was like trying to think of like snow. Yeah. Yeah, so all this down at the bottom, yeah, it's almost like its own little special barcode. Yeah, so it'll say ZBrush 3D, and then this will allow you to open this up. Yes, and then this is actually a file that's easier to transfer back and forth between the two. Sorry, I was actually thinking of like 3MF because you could save as a 3MF file, and then you can store like a little bit of information in there. But no, this is what you're referring to. So thanks for the clarification, J. Crew, and yes, Iris, there you go. Hello, I'm starting with Z, and I wanted to know if starting with Sculptris Pro for sketching and then Z-remeshing is a good workflow. That's a great question. Quicks, I see your question. I'll get to that in 1 second, so I do apologize. Yes, actually, what I would actually recommend is not ZRemesher as a first starting workflow. I would say Sculptris Pro and then Dynamesh. Let me show you why. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, okay, so let's go ahead and grab this guy, go version 8, and turn only this on. So we're going to go ahead and go to our geometry, Dynamesh. So I'm going to use Snakehook for this example, but of course you can use any tool you want that uses Sculptris. But you know when you like drag things out with Snakehook and then rebuild, that you could get like this kind of breaking, and then the Dynamesh rebuilds for you. What's cool about Sculptris is that it actually builds a little bit. Let me get a better, there we go. Let me get a bigger brush. It's building for you on the fly, and then you can re-Dynamesh that, and then you can keep. And because it's tessellating at the same time, it's building cleaner, better geometry for you, but it's triangulated. So rebuilding that will quad it back out using Dynamesh's amazing ability to quad things out quickly and give you a little bit better results. And then from here, you can, again, maybe do a little bit of inflate, which is also backed by the Sculptris method, and then Dynamesh that again. And you can already see here, you can get some really cool, fun shapes, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Now, some brushes don't use Sculptris, like the Move brush doesn't, but that's where the Snakehook comes in, because I could just hold Alt and drag a straight line out and then rebuild that. So I would actually recommend this, because when you ZRemesh is more of like, you like the shapes that you have, and now you want to rebuild it and then apply subdivisions. Sculptris and subdivisions, because Sculptris is rebuilding quickly, it's adding geometry to the sections that you work. Hey, I don't think it works on... I'm going to subdivide this real quick. Yeah, Sculptris does not work on any subdivision levels whatsoever, so you'd want the subdivision levels to hold all the detail, which is why you would ZRemesh, because it cleans up your model and then allows you to subdivide and add final details to your model. For sketching purposes, Dynamesh is exactly built for that reason. Let's just start making some stuff, and with Sculptris, we now can add a bunch of really cool shapes and get something really fast, rebuild that geometry, and then I can keep going. And you can see here, I can work really quickly like this. So this is like super, probably for sketching purposes, this is probably the best setup that you can operate with. Like I said, when you get to ZRemesh, just think of it as like, okay, I like what I got, I'm going to rebuild it and then refine it in its final tertiary forms. No, it's not his hand. It's actually just like some random image I found. I think it's a Santa Cruz thing. I'm going to look up the final name for it, because now I just feel like, I just saw it. It was cool. I just saw it. It was awesome. Yeah. Right. So. Okay. Quick. Let's see here. Going back to your question, hey Ian, is there a way that when you drag out an alpha via the standard brush, that you could set the exact size for the next several drag outs after the first? Yes, actually, there is. Yeah. Here. So let's focus on that portion real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and hide this bad boy. Okay. The first thing is, I'm going to go ahead and just go with the BST for the standard brush. So actually what you could do is do drag dot. And this can set your alpha size based on your brush size. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just pick this guy right here. Pick my brush size. And now this is actually picking the size of my center. Get a little bit larger. It's actually picking the size of more of my focal length. So if I take my focal shift and drag that out, then I scale that up. See here, I'm able to drag, but I'm also able to place that wherever I want. So that's the easiest way to set the size. So if you know I want my image to be exactly this big, there it is. Now you have to remember too, there's fall off on this alpha. So you have to account for the fall off as well. So if I wanted something that's a little bit sharper, that'll get you pretty close. That's how I would do that, because then I can scale this up, and then now I have this, and I can even position that right where I want it. That's probably the easiest way to do it. You're probably using the drag rec, which allows you to scale, and then that's infinite. So the drag rec will just infinitely let you do that. So the closest we have to that right now, top of my head, is drag dot. Allow you to adjust, find the size that you want, and then say, yeah, all right, place that there, place that there. Also, too, this is a really great way to start positioning your alphas, and this has been there a while, so. What's up, Stickles? Relevant question. How can you change the head of the top right corner? Farja, I actually just answered that question in this exact stream, but I also have a video for you. So I'm gonna just share that video. So I also work with IMM brushes, where you can set the exact size. Actually, for IMM brushes, you're gonna want a plugin. Let me actually go to Pixelogic's website here. Do I have this plugin installed? I use it sometimes. The amazing Joseph Drust actually pushed this plugin in. So you're gonna want this one, but I'm gonna go to Resource Center. Okay, I don't have this one plugged in, so yes, I don't have it plugged in. Fine, I'm gonna add that here. But you're gonna want to go my resources, and I want to go to ZBrush plugins, doopy doopoo, and I believe it is called. Let me just scroll down here for a little bit. IMM Extractor. That's the one that is called. Nope, sorry, IMM Draw Size. There it is. The IMM Draw Size. That's the one that you want. Oh my gosh, did I just go back? I just lost myself, sorry. Not the extractor, but the IMM Draw Size. This guy right here. You're going to want this one right here. And I'll actually install it for you so you can see how it works. I'm going to go ahead and ZBrush and VR stream. If we had VR support, I would already be streaming in VR for you. There's no VR support at this time. How do you export fiber mesh so it can be rendered in a program like Marmoset? That's a great question. Here, let me go ahead and actually finish this question up, and I'll get to that question. Yeah, that's what you're going to want. You're going to want the draw size. Hopefully that link is dropped in there, but once you download that, I'm going to go ahead and actually save this. Yep, let's go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and save the hand GIF. I'm also going to save just the ZTL just because I'm used to saving ZTLs here. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to go. I need to so when you're downloading or installing plugins, you need to actually turn ZBrush off. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and install this. So I'm going to do this off screen, just but you'll get something like this ZBrush. I don't know, it's hard to see because of my background, but I have this draw size. I can go ahead and extract this all right here. And then I get my IMM draw size as well as draw size. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I get my draw size and I get my ZSC. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to go into my local disk. I'm going to go to my program files. I'm going to go into my Maxon ZBrush. Now I can show my screen. And then I'm going to go ahead into my Z startup, my Z plugin 64. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that into here. So I have my IMM draw size. And then the ZSC. Now I'm going to go ahead and relaunch ZBrush. So I've relaunched ZBrush. I'm going to go ahead and load in my tool. So I'm actually going to load in the hand GIF so you can kind of see that that works. There you go. All my subtools, and there is the image 3D GIF came in, so it saves just like as ETL. It's just much smaller. And now from here, I'm going to go to Z plugin, and now I have my IMM draw size. So from here, what we can do is let's grab my IMM brush. So we'll go BI, and then let's just grab something cool. Let's grab the steampunk. So typically with a steampunk or any IMM extractor, you would sit here, right, and you would say like, okay, great, there it is, I'm dragging it out. But I want to set an exact size. So if I go to Z plugin, I can actually set the desired range. So let's say I want this, and I'm going to go ahead and say set size. Okay, now notice that my brush size is much smaller. I didn't change my brush size. So I'll scale this up. Notice the size of my brush. See how small that is? Come here, go set image. Now look how big that is. Now when I drag this out, if I press and hold control, it'll actually draw it out at the exact same size. So I have my draw size here, press and hold control, and now that is actually set to the size that I want. So I can have all of these in the exact same way. What's really cool about that is like, this is really cool if you're trying to use interpolate. So you know our interpolate feature under stroke. So if I want to have the exact same size, so I draw this out here, press hold and control, drag this out, press and hold control, and now I go over to stroke, say I want to count of 5, and I want to interpolate that. Now all of those will be the exact same size. And that is what you're looking for. Yep, that's what you're looking for. Ooh, learn Japanese at the end, finally. I ain't that good at Japanese. Believe you me. So yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah. We only got about 30 more minutes, just FYI. But yeah, go ahead and download that. That's going to be on. But that's linear, correct? Can that be applied to the curve? Well, if you come back here, notice it's following the mesh. The interpolate is actually going to go ahead and follow the mesh based on the 2 points of contact. So if I draw one out here, and then I draw one out here, and then I go and say interpolate, it's going to do its best to try to follow that mesh. But yeah, interpolate works, to the best of my knowledge, it works on mostly a straight line, but it's going to find the points from A to B and then try to fill that in as best as I can. So here, and then let's up the stroke count and see here. It's trying to figure that out. But yeah, I would say if you want it on a nice curve, it would probably be best then maybe make a curve brush or something. It'll give you a faster result. Maybe. But still, yeah, it's pretty neat. Also, too, don't forget, too, anytime you see any feature with a little button, that button, what that's doing is actually giving you a different algorithm, okay? So if you're not quite sure, you know, what that does, go ahead and give that a shot. Let's say here and here, and then I interpolate that. So this was the closed results, and this was the open result. So just slightly different. That's really what those bubbles do. It just gives you a different algorithm approach. Okay. Just smooth these down just a little bit. Haven't gotten very far. That's okay. Yeah, I was thinking about that long coat with buttons. Oh, perfect. Yeah, that should do just fine. The long coat with buttons should do absolutely fine. Is that what it's called? Oh, that's just good luck. That's another language. Never mind. Good luck with it. Thank you. Thank you. Do any of the ZBrush algorithms use AI? I don't think so. No. No. I don't think so. I'm not the programmer. I'm just the user. So I wouldn't know specifics on that, but I don't believe so. But I've been known to be wrong before, so if I'm told differently, I will correct it. But as far as I know of, no. Make amazing sculpts, see results. There you go. All right, let's go ahead and make a tooth. We're going to make a pretty gnarly tooth here. So I'm going to use V4 for this. Turn everything off but the cube I'm working on. And that way I don't have to have solo turned on. And now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to initialize. And I'm going to cube with the X, Y, and Z here. Get something like that going on. And then I'm going to use my Z modeler to get a center line. I'm going to go multiple edge loops. I'm going to draw out just the one center line. Then I'm going to do one right here. I'm going to move this forward just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and then drag this up. Maybe bring this in just a bit. Move that forward. Turn on dual, and let's go single edge loop. Yep. I'm going to get something a little nasty looking. Go ahead and grab this. We're going to close this in just a bit. Get a little bit of a flare. Set this in the middle. And like such. Actually, just grab this one here. Edge loop here. We're just gonna pull this down just a bit. Yeah, that should be fine. I'm actually gonna go ahead and add this here. Nah, that should be fine. Don't overcomplicate it. Yeah, something like that. There we go. And a little bit of a funky crease. Now let's go ahead, come here, and go back to V1. And let's just call this tooth. So rename this tooth. Send this back in the center, and I'm actually going to turn off symmetry. Scale this down. So we won't be finishing it on this stream, but we'll get pretty close with the block out at least. Now we're going to go ahead. His tongue's a little large for what we're going for, so push that in just a little bit more. Drag this out. Drag this out, and then we'll move this down here. Down just a little bit more. Like he's missing a tooth or a couple teeth, so I'll have to put in for some gummage happening down there. So this will give us a good starting spot. And let's go ahead and auto group that. Now for this, for his gums here, I'm just going to go ahead and control drag, duplicate. Kind of make this work. Just going to bash this around until it fits. It's always the way I like to do things. Gonna go ahead and start slamming this in. Now here, actually, I'm thinking we need to make this larger. This is where we get to make some creative decisions because we get to break the hand anatomy a little bit. So we can actually make the hand anatomy look a little bit more unnatural because there's a giant mouth in the middle of it. And quite frankly, that's perfect. Then we could just kind of interpret what we want. Now his gums back here, I'm actually going to go ahead and not connect these because your top gums aren't connected to your, well, your jawbone isn't connected that way. So do something like this. Invert that. Go. I'm going to go ahead and Control W to give us a different poly group so we can quick select. So we'll need some interesting refinement, but I think this is actually looking pretty good. We'll come in here, hold Control, and actually do a light scale down. And then we can do like a little bit of a smooth. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply the dynamic subdivision so I can do a more controlled smooth. Because again, smoothing is very destructive, but with the scale down, it kind of warped the geometry a little bit. I'll actually Control Z to show you. So if you look here on how kind of when I did that control scale, the deflate it actually did a little bit of a crushing method. So now I can smooth that. But if I were to smooth this with no subdivisions, there wasn't enough geometry to support the shape, so it would just fall apart. Then I can actually drop this back down and then delete the higher, and now I have back to some pretty decent geometry that I can just go back to dynamic smoothing. Grab this guy. I can Control drag. Duplicate these teeth once more. An auto group. Let's grab this. Pass this off. Me, I was doing the masking the most difficult way. You could just Control Shift tap wherever you want. Drag. Actually, these teeth are still too large for what we're trying to go for. That's okay. Here, let's go ahead and drag this auto groups. Perfect. We'll mess with the teeth and their actual, we'll end up messing with the teeth and getting them a little bit more gnarly looking. Just trying to get a decent block out first. With this right here, we're actually going to go ahead and kind of open up this palm a little bit because it's feeling a little crushed. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Again, kind of get to just make sure we play around with all the decent shapes. Notice the initialize menu changed from before. I don't use it much, but I just remember that there were more features. Hi, also too, hi, by the way, Kazaki. Were there more features? So the initialize is actually, let me go over the initialize a little bit because I do think there's a little bit, we could definitely talk, actually we could talk all day about initialize. Let me finish this real fast and then let me go over that real fast. Because there's a few different ways you can use initialize. Okay. We'll definitely need some refinement, but I'm already liking the block out itself. Actually, here real quick. A little bit of DLC happening there. Let's do the move infinite. Get that hand looking a little bit better. Go. And with the knife curve, let me just save it real fast. Knife lasso. I want the knife curve. Drop that off for a minute. Need it that large. I don't want the forearm taking over. Okay. We need some nails. We need all sorts of stuff, and I am running out of time, but that is okay. So I'm going to go ahead and real fast, let's just pose him right here. Control Shift, or I'm sorry, Shift S. All right. So initialize. So I'm actually going to go ahead. Put this here. I'm going to hit Simple Brush and switch. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a sphere. No, let's use something cool. Let's use Spiral 3D, and let's drag this out. And then we're going to hit edit mode. Okay, so when dragging out shapes for the first time, so before you even hit make polymesh 3D, we have some features. Notice that my menu here is a little bit smaller originally, okay? When I have my mesh here, if I say make polymesh 3D, it makes another version of this, and now I have all my sculpting abilities, and my menus just got a lot larger. But also, too, the initialize menu changed, because if I was in this state when I first dragged it out and just said edit, but did not say make polymesh 3D, notice here that my initialize is a lot different from here to here. And that is because you're in a 2.5 mode version of ZBrush, and this allows you to actually make some edits under the initialized state. So when I drag out my mesh for the first time, say edit mode, I'm in a 2.5 space, 2.5D space, and here I can actually edit my geometry to be something a little bit different. So for example, if I wanted some tentacles, this is actually a good spot to go ahead and start making this stuff. Add a little bit of twist if I want. Add some geometry changes, some coverage. I can even change the alignment on the X, Y, or Z. So I can even hollow out the model if I would like to. So this is where we can make some different shapes happening. When you're satisfied with your shape, then what you can do is say make polymesh 3D, and now I have this. I have now this to sculpt off of. This is now my base to sculpt off of. And our initialize menu changes back. So if I want a Q cube, Q sphere, Q grid, or Q plane, I can do all that stuff. So that's the main difference. So in the 2.5D state, your ability to change the mesh is actually very, very lucrative to whatever it is you're trying to go for. Especially if, for some reason, say switch, go ahead and hit Control N for a second. You're wanting to do something like get some real interesting gear shapes. If I hit T for edit mode, I'm now in that space. I come here to initialize, and I can actually start manipulating this to make a crown. Or whatever I would like to make. Coverage as well. Each model has a different thing. A turbine. Made a turbine shape, and then say, okay, great. Now I want to sculpt on it. Make polymesh 3D. Yes. So you have a lot of different abilities, and this allows us as ZBrush artists to come in and start making things really, really quickly. And if you look at the simplified shapes, your base shapes, your spheres, your cubes, your rectangles, your cylinders, your cones, terrains, everything here has the ability to be manipulated with that initialized state. And then from there you can modify. So you are so welcome. Absolutely. Does look like an Iron Maiden art cover. I love it. Perfect. Yeah. Yep. All right, we only have a few more minutes, so we're going to continue sculpting this hand a little bit. I'm nowhere going to be finished, by the way, with all this, but that is okay. We can do some stuff on the next stream, so I won't really do much to it at all. I like showing my process. But let's get some nails in here real quick, at least a placeholder, and then we can refine some stuff. So let's drag out, or let's actually create a nail shape here. So we could do this one of two ways. I'm actually going to do this using a Z-sphere. I'm going to do some Z-sphere retopo. Do I want to do that? No, that's a setup and a half. I don't want to do that. Let's just do topology. Just... Oh, okay. I have subdivisions. Perfect. I don't... Okay, let's just delete our subdivisions for a little bit. Delete lower. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just... Yeah, let's just drag this out here. Let's hit S. And let's just say 0, enter. Touch one time. Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and split unmasked points. So split unmasked points. And then I'm actually going to back this up for a second. So I have my geometry back. There it is. All right. Go ahead and just kind of drag this out just for a minute. And let's get this nail shape looking a little bit better than what it is. I'm actually going to use the Z modeler brush, hover over here, go inset, polygroup all, and then just get some decent quad shapes happening. And then from here, I'm actually going to kind of scale this up a little bit. About like that. What's up, everyone? What's up, Kimmy? Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about that. Okay. So with this here, we're going to go ahead and actually come here, Q-mesh everything. Get this basic nail shape happening. And I want this to have some curvature to it. And hit D for dynamic. And notice how it shrunk a lot. So we're actually going to go ahead and add in a edged loop to give us some supporting. A little bit. And then, yeah, that should be fine. Perfect. That move infinite for a second, and we can kind of modify this just a little bit more. This is also where the move infinite brush comes in really, really handy. Scale that up a bit. Now we're going to place these right about there. Now let's duplicate this a few times. Again, we'll need some cleanup to happen, but that's okay. You guys know the model always starts off looking pretty rough, but then you just refine it, you work it, you refine it, you work it some more, and then you start over a bunch of times, and then eventually you get what you like. But this is why the block out is so important. Honestly, somebody said here in the chat that it was actually like I forget the name of it, but it's like a Santa Cruz symbol of sorts. I saw it on the back of a car. I'm gonna look up and get it a little bit more, but I literally saw it on the back of a car and was like, "That's cool. That deserves a sculpt." That was 2 days ago, and that's how I decided what we were gonna be sculpting today. So I will figure out the name of it a little bit more. Now I have some direction on what it is. I don't know if that person's still who mentioned it. Maybe they could clarify. Oh, it's 8:50 p.m. here in Spain. It's beer time. Cheers. Cheers. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be wrapping up in the next 10 minutes. Pre-made brush for slimes. I don't have any at this moment in time, but I might be encouraged to make one in the near future. Because I actually have some slimes here that we should be exploring as well. Maybe next stream I'll play with a little bit more slime stuff. Grab this. Grab this. It's all masked off. Perfect. There we go. That's a better thumb position, at least at first glance. Never know. Tomorrow I'll probably hate it. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. We'll get to the wraps and stuff. Maybe what I'll do is I'll finalize the hand just a little bit off stream. I do like showing my process, but it's just going to be basically meshing this together and making it look like something. But then again, I may not have a whole lot of time to do that, so probably this will be the state that we see it at next week. But let me just kind of some of this in here. Want a little bit of that kind of bony landmark. So very, very rough, but we're actually getting something that I like. So it's not terrible. Yeah, no, I'd never seen this thing before, and I thought this was the coolest thing in a while. It's the zombie version. Yeah, zombie version. Anyone know good resources for anatomy and proportions? There are tons of good resources. The one that jumps out the most, though, is Anatomy for Sculptors. That one's great because it doesn't make you learn a whole lot of medical language in order to get the proper resources, but that's a great place to start, especially for anatomy and proportions, because they break down all the similar shapes and sizes. They even have an Instagram, so you could go to their Instagram, look up Anatomy for Sculptors, and you can just see their Instagram posts. They give you pretty much everything you need in those posts alone. But their book is amazing. I own the digital copy, and it's great. Highly recommended for any artist. Ooh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, Scott Eaton Anatomy for Sculptors book. Yep, also another great one. Yep, Broco YouTube channel. Yep, also another great one. Also, too, I'm just going to say it right now, there's an Ecrochet within ZBrush. You go to Tool, right here, Ryan Kittleson, double-click on this guy. Boop. Now, even though this is a female Ecrochet, we just hide the breast tissues real quick. This right here, aside from the skeleton and some just slight variations between male and female anatomy, i.e. and the hip, ribs, shoulder width, everything here is named perfectly with what you would want. And if you hit Shift F or solo, you could solo that muscle group. So we have the gluteus maximus, we have a deltoid, and if you hit F, that's actually going to frame that section. So if I solo this out, we have the deltoid here. I can just go through here, hit F, gluteus maximus. What is this one right here? Abductor magnus. I believe I pronounced that right. So the FD superficialis is right here. And again, this tells you right where everything's at. So this is also another really great resources, and you can match your proportions to this as much as possible. Yes, this anatomy figure does come with ZBrush. If you open up the lightbox by hitting the comma key, go under tool, and it is right here, the Ryan Kingsley anatomy. You just, that guy right there. So that's tool, Ryan, right there. Ryan has a YouTube and an Insta where he dives deep anatomy frequently. Nice. Yep. I don't know if I'm cheating. No such thing. But I use Dad's studio figures to learn anatomy in ZBrush. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not cheating. Look, the only... when it comes to sculpting in general, I'm always going to fall on the mindset of you should, in the beginning phases, start from scratch as much as possible with blocking stuff out, because you're building those foundations for seeing and developing the proper proportions, volumes, and everything that needs to be placed where it's at. You are actually doing that, and this is going to solidify when something's wrong versus when something's right. If you start off sculpting brand new from a base mesh, then a lot of that work is kind of done, and then when you go to do it yourself for the first time, you might actually get a little lost, because especially with anatomy, everything is measured off of itself. The size of your middle finger is the size of your palm. The size of your hand from palm to your middle finger tip is the size of your face. The size of your forearm is the size of your foot. These are all things that matter, and where these placements come from is really important in the learning process. So as you block this all out, you're trying to muscle memory this stuff. Starting from a base mesh in the beginning kind of kills that learning process just a little bit. It's not impossible, but I find that it's better to start from scratch in the beginning, get used to learning anatomy, get used to where things are, how it's blocked out. You don't have to be an expert in it. You just have to understand it enough. So then when you start with a base mesh, you know where those volumes or proportions belong. You know how the muscles look. You know the placement. And that is going to help out so much when you finally get to the point of doing a piece that you could be proud of. So these are all things to think about in the beginning stages, but having a reference right in front of you, ZBrush ships with that stuff. So Titans here. What's up? Titans Revenge. Guys, you got everybody here. Titans are really awesome, dude. Definitely check them out. Because posing in ZBrush... Yes, but the thing is, I work with a time frame and for a silver company, so I cheat a lot. Absolutely, Kimmy, I totally understand. Trust me, trust me. Time crunches can definitely do it. I'm more speaking of those who are like very beginner. But even if you're very beginning, but you're within a company, take some personal time and block stuff out and get used to it. It'll help you out a lot. Just make you a better artist overall. Okay, that's pretty much going to wrap it for today. Sorry, everybody. We didn't get as far as I would like to, but we had some great questions, and quite frankly, that's what I love about these streams. You guys bring in some of the most amazing questions. This is my time slot from now on, so it is Wednesdays at 10 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Daylight Time. I think we're still in daylight. I don't know, but this is where we are. So thank you guys for showing up. Had an amazing time. Hopefully you guys did too. Next week, we'll continue refining this and getting this all cleaned up. I think this was pretty cool, but there's still a lot of work to do. But we'll get there. This is fun. This is going to be neat. We're going to be doing bandages. We'll be doing worms. We'll be doing some slime. We'll be doing some nasty bones. It's going to look good. Yeah, it's going to look good. I'm liking it. So, absolutely. Thank you for bringing the questions. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all next week. Until then, bye, 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 bye.